Jeffrey here. In this video, I'm going to show you the two fatal mistakes that I see a lot of people making when they're trying to save their relationship. And I really want you to stick around till the very end of this video because these two fatal mistakes are some things that no one really talks about. But they're the exact things that will sabotage your actions to save your marriage in the most subconscious ways without you even knowing the damage you're doing. And so I really want to make sure that you capture everything I'm saying here because this has been some of the most life-changing realizations that I've made myself when I was trying to save my own relationship, but also for a lot of my students as well. And I'm sure you'll find this to be eye-opening for you also. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Jeffrey and I help men in long-term relationships or in marriages with the right skills and with the right mindsets to be able to design a thriving relationship. So if you want more content like this one, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. Now, before we begin, I want to let you know that the registration for the masterclass and the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up is still open. So if you're interested in joining that masterclass, then be sure to stick around till the end of this video for the announcement on how you can get in on that. Now, of course, this video is not going to be the most comprehensive video. There's going to be a lot of other mistakes that people make when they're trying to save their relationship. And I've talked a lot about some of these other things in a lot of my other videos. So I'll go ahead and place links to those other videos or to those other playlists in the bottom of this video in the description below if you want to watch more about the key mistakes that you can avoid and what you can do when you're trying to save your marriage here. But in this video, I want to show you the 2 big and fatal mistakes that I see a lot of people making that I think will be extremely eye-opening for you. And so the first mistake that I see is when people are being tethered to either the outcome or to their partner. What do I mean by this? So most of you in the position of trying to save your relationship are going to be in a position where you're dealing with a partner who maybe has given up, maybe has lost hope in the future of you or the relationship. Perhaps your partner is feeling extremely negative and all they can think about, all they can say are just negative things about you, the past, the relationship, and perhaps she says that she's really made up her mind and no matter what you do, even if you change, she still will decide to leave you anyway. So if their partner has given up, if their partner feels hopeless, if their partner gets negative, then you also want to give up. You also feel hopeless. You also get negative. And so you're tethered here. If your partner feels negative and hopeless, you go down along with her. Now, why this is bad is that this is really not how a leader of the relationship should act. For one, here, you're basically letting your partner and your circumstance, your outcome, define how you feel. You're tethered by it. Instead of you sourcing your own power from within, and you're the one affecting external circumstance. You're being in a very powerless position here, but when you can affect, influence external forces, that's when you are extremely powerful. And the second reason why this is really, really bad is that it really makes the negative outcomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because what you need to understand here is that your beliefs leads to your attitudes leads to your actions, and your actions leads to your outcome. So if your belief right now is that if your partner tells you it's hopeless and you allow that to guide your beliefs, then your beliefs will determine your attitude. And your attitude would be, if my partner has really given up, then why should I even try? And so what happens is this attitude affects your action. And your action now is you either take no action or you come up with a lot of needy and actions that come out of anxiety here to respond to your situation. And when your actions are either no action or very needy actions, then the outcome is very obvious. There's really no hope for the both of you. So if you feel tethered to your partner, if your partner being down makes you down, then you are in no position to actually reverse that feedback loop and you are going to drown together. Now, the second big mistake, the second fatal mistake that I see people make is when they focus on the external changes, not the internal, genuine changes. What do I mean by this again? So most people tend to focus 80% of their effort into learning the tactics. Jeff, tell me what to say. Tell me what to do. And very little time on how to actually think about what they're saying or how to actually think behind the actions. So they spend maybe less than 20% of the time looking at working on their mindset and changing the way they think. And so, for example, they might understand, okay, I need to listen. I need to discover things from my partner's point of view. I get it. And they say things like, I let my partner kind of express herself and I was listening the whole time. I didn't interrupt. And I let her kind of spew out all the things that she was angry about. But internally, I was really, really impatient. I was seething inside. But even though I was seething inside, I was so impatient inside, outside, I really played out the tactics really right, Jeff. And they think that just because they are playing out all the right things on the outside while hiding all the seething and impatience on the inside, that they're doing a good job. But the truth is that this is also extremely damaging. There are three things here that people don't realize. The first thing is that microtones and micro expressions creates intangible tension. So no matter how well you think you're executing all the right tactics on the outside, you might be thinking that you're listening really well on the outside and letting her talk and acknowledging her and so on the outside. But inside, you feel impatient, you're seething inside, you're just this volcano waiting to blow up. Your misalignment here between your external self and your internal self will show up in the micro expressions in your face and also the microtones when you speak as well, when you're asking questions, for example. And your partner can feel this. And when your partner feels this, it will create a lot of tension within her as well. So just imagine, for example, if you're talking to your boss right now, you have to give your boss a very, very difficult news that you know she's not going to take very well. And your boss is saying all the right things, all the nice things on the outside, but you can sense in that micro expression and the little moments in the conversation that your boss is actually very, very angry with you. That she's just trying to hold back this anger the whole time. Is that actually going to make you feel safer to talk to your boss the next time? Most likely not. And it's the same thing here. The internal state that you have governs your micro expressions and your microtones. And those things actually matter a lot, if not more than the actual words you're saying, than the actual things you're doing. So if you do this, she might logically understand what you're trying to do here, the spirit of what you're trying to do, logically. But emotionally, she will struggle to feel it, to feel the safety, to feel like you're genuinely wanting to ask her these questions to discover, and so on. And this is when you get all the confusing behaviors that you often get when she says one thing. For example, she says, thank you, but she's really not drawing closer into you yet. Because while she believes it logically, she doesn't feel it emotionally yet, because again, of all those micro expressions and microtones that suggest that, oh, maybe there's still a lot of the old you still in there somewhere, and that eventually that anger is going to escape. And the second thing is that it's impossible to sustain this in the long term. If you're staying calm externally, but internally in a completely different state internally, then there's no chance that you will sustain that calmness, sustain the same actions of patience, of actually acknowledging, of discovering for the long term. You might try it for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, but there's no way you're going to do it forever. Because again, you're using your willpower here to get something done. And whenever you're using your willpower to get something done, you will never be able to do it for a very long time. And understand that here, your subconscious slip-ups will unravel your house of cards. So the reason why this is the case is that confirmation bias is really not your friend at this moment. So understand that your partner now has a hypothesis that you are not to be trusted, that there is really no hope in the relationship, that you're not capable of change, that whatever changes you make is going to be fake and manipulative just to get her to come back to you. And this confirmation bias will naturally get her and lead her questioning in her mind to find out reasons to support this hypothesis. And this is really not her fault or her problem. This is just the way the human mind thinks. And you do the exact same thing as well. So this is important because you have to understand that when you're trying to rebuild your relationship, it's really not about the 100 things you do correct, but it's the one thing you do wrong that will counteract the 100 things that you've done correctly. And so if you are in a position where you haven't changed your internal self, you're still using your willpower, you're making all the right external changes, but internally you're not making the right changes yet, then you might do 100 things correct, but again, it's that one time you slip up that's going to unravel the house of cards. And that one thing you do wrong will make her go often, aha, I knew it. I knew I cannot trust him. I knew there was no hope. I knew that you're not capable of change. So again, it's important that you make the changes to be internal instead of external. So now let's go into how do you actually avoid these two fatal mistakes here. So understand, first of all, that 80% of what it takes to rebuild relationships is actually not the understanding of tactics, but the understanding of the mindsets and internalizing these mindsets to create this deep change within you that can execute the right tactics properly for the long haul, and for you to be able to stay calm, but stay calm in a more natural way without you using your willpower to try to stay calm here. Now, there are 3 things you need to focus on when you're trying to do this. And this is the same 3 things that all my students use as well to get to a point where they're in a really good position to reverse the feedback loop and start rebuilding that relationship. The first one is what we call in our program, killing the mind viruses. So understand that, if you look at physical viruses right now, how it works is that you have one strain, one bacteria or one virus coming into your body, and then that one virus multiplies into 2, then 4, then 8, then 16. Before you know it, it becomes a full-blown sickness. Well, what you need to understand is that the same mechanism plays in your head as well with thoughts. So you start with one negative thought, for example. That one negative thought becomes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and then eventually you find yourself in a position where you're completely depressed, you're completely angry, you're not in a good state of mind anymore. And what you need to understand here is that emotions don't just come. Emotions are a result of how you reflexively interpret the events around you. And we see this when, let's say you put 100 people in the same room and expose them to the same exact event. All those 100 people will have completely different emotions and response to that one same event. And the reason why they have all these different emotions and different responses to the same event is because, again, of the way they interpret the events around them. And that's very subjective. It differs from person to person. And so when you change your reflexive interpretation here, that's when you change your emotions. And when you do that, you'll find it easier to stay calm and play out the right processes because you're poised and you're calm. And this goes beyond just positive thinking or journaling or meditation like we talk about. This is understanding all the illusions and the faulty thinking, all the faulty programming that you've learned from your childhood, from your history, and so on, and learning how to reprogram your mind in a permanent way. And to give you a taste of how this feels, for example, me simply showing you how tethered you are in your relationship and all the bad consequences that being tethered has on your relationship and your life and your emotions. Just knowing this will change your interpretations you have about this whole situation. And this small shift in interpretation will most likely cause a small shift in your attitude, in your emotion towards the event as well. So imagine this kinds of realizations, but multiply it by 100. That's what it takes to kill all of the mind viruses that you have in your mind. And that's what it takes to have this untouchable strength, an untouchable poise that is sourced internally and that can keep you calm no matter what your partner is doing, no matter what negative thing is happening in the relationship. So when you take care of these mind viruses here, by reprogramming your beliefs and reprogramming the way you think and interpret the events around you, then you will find it easier to become untethered to your partner. Because again, you can now source your emotions from within, not external stuff. So you define how you feel, not letting external stuff define how you feel. And you will also find it easier to show your calmness internally as well. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to use your willpower to do it because you're effectively changing the way your brain is programmed. So you don't need to force yourself to be calm, but calmness will just come a lot more naturally to you. So the first thing here is fixing that mind viruses. The second thing is mastering the key skills that you need. So you can kill all the mind viruses that you want all day long. None of that matters if you have very little confidence in your ability to accomplish something, to do something, to lead a conversation, to lead an interaction, for example. So you can, for example, think positively all you want about your skills in some sport, your skills at your work, your skills on speaking on stage, whatever. But if you've never spoken on stage, if you really are not good at the skills to do your job properly, or you can't shoot a free throw, then no matter how much positive thinking you do, you will always feel the lack of confidence. And when we talk about this confidence in the skill, what we're talking about is the level of mastery where you can honestly say, no matter what curveballs, challenges, difficulties that I'm facing, nothing can scare me. I know how to break through and improvise my way around any challenges. And you might feel this at work right now, where you feel like you come to work every day, you don't feel nervous to come to work because whatever challenges you face, you've mastered the skills in your work so well that you can execute it very well. And when we talk about the relationship, you need to have the same level of mastery in your skills so that no matter what your partner is saying, no matter what curveballs your partner is throwing at you, you know exactly how to handle it with grace because you have confidence in that skill. And once you have this confidence, not only will it show that you have really internalized all of the skills and all of the mindset shift that you need to master. But also, imagine how easy it would be to stay untethered to your partner or to the outcome. Because you know that whatever is coming your way, you know you have the skills and the knowledge to be able to deal with it. So you don't have to source your confidence from something outside of you, like your partner and the outcome around you, but your strength and your confidence can now come from within to where whatever challenges you're faced, the more challenges you're faced, the more confident you actually become. Now, the last thing you need to master to be able to avoid these two fatal mistakes is shifting your mind from focusing on the outcome back to the process. What do I mean by this? People who source their strength to the outcome, to the external circumstance and how things are going on the outside can never remain confident for very long and are terrible when they're faced with a very difficult situation, which is ironically when they need that confidence most. Their mind is constantly attached to the outcome. So if the outcome is going well, then they constantly look at that and they source their motivation, they source their confidence with that. If the outcome is good, that goes up as well. But if the outcome is bad, they obsess over the bad outcome and they cannot help but feel demotivated, depressed, and their confidence will die along with it as well. So their mood and their motivation here swings up and down dramatically depending on how the outcome is going. If the outcome is going great, their motivation goes up. If the outcome is bad, their motivation goes down as well. And most people also, they waste so much time focusing on that outcome. And they do not have all their energy basically dedicated to the process of actually getting to the outcome. So this is when you're thinking about how bad the situation is for you, how hopeless things are, instead of actually seeking answers and focusing on the processes to actually get you the outcome. And so that's how most people operate. And when you operate like this, what you find is that it's really difficult to stay committed to a process for a very long time, because again, your process will change hour by hour. If something is going well, your motivation goes up. You're like, okay, let me follow this process. If the outcome is going badly, you say, I don't really need the process right now. I don't really need to do this. I don't really want to do this right now. And not only that, your attention is so focused on all the useless things, like focusing on the outcome and thinking about how bad things are right now, that you're not following the process. So it's really difficult in the long term to build really solid momentum into whatever it is you're doing or trying to accomplish in your life, including rebuilding your relationship. And if you're not focusing all your energy and your effort on the right things, on the process, then your growth will be a lot slower. And honestly, when you're trying to rebuild a relationship, you're trying to battle some confirmation bias. You're trying to battle some very difficult forces that are going against your odds, and you don't have time to be slowly evolving or evolving in a slow way. Now, people who source their strength and joy in mastering the process itself, they can remain emotionally steady and confident through the ups and downs and become completely untethered to the ups and downs of the outcome here. And this puts them in a very good position to take better actions, gain momentum, and gain better outcomes in the long term. And they can also sustain motivation for a very, very long time through the ups and downs, because again, their confidence and their motivation is not tethered to the outcome that goes up and down, but is tethered to their ability to do the process. They just focus on the process every single day, which allows for massive changes in a very quick way as well. And the difference in thinking here of one being attached to the outcome versus one being attached to the process is why failures fail because of the outcomes, because of the circumstance. But people who are successful, they can succeed despite the circumstance, despite their challenges. Key difference there. So the more you focus on a process, the more untethered you become. And the faster you find the right process because you're asking the right kinds of questions, and the faster you internalize the right processes as well, because your efforts are more efficient, your energy is 100% focused on what actually matters, and you can generate this massive momentum over time because you're not changing your motivation and changing your path and changing your plan every few hours. Now, of course, there's so many more levels involved in saving your marriage than what I can say in this one video. So if you're looking for a deeper understanding of what it takes to save your marriage, then I want you to join me in my free masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In this masterclass, I'll show you the exact same process that I show all my students that has taken them from a brink of divorces often and a hopeless situation in the relationship to a place where the relationship can begin to thrive again. So if this masterclass sounds interesting to you, then I want you to click the link above my head or also down in the comments or in the description box below this video. And if you're looking for a free guide that can allow you to lead conversations better, that never leads to an argument, can allow you to rebuild a relationship for the long haul, then you also want to download my free guide above my head or also down in the comments below in the description box below this video as well. And if you're looking for a community of people where you can post your questions, get support, share your wins, share your challenges, then you also want to join me in my free Facebook group. And the way you can join that group is by clicking the link down below this video. In the meantime, do leave a comment below with what you find most insightful about this video. And let me know, because I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, then I want you to like it and subscribe to this channel for more content like this one. In the meantime, I'll leave you with these 2 other videos that can allow you to understand the key mistakes that people often make when they're trying to save their relationship and what you can do as well to put yourself in the right path. So with that said, I will see you in the next video.